Turkish, but I had to give some messages to my former community. It's always a pleasure to be back at the ATAA Leadership Seminar, which I call the Turkish American Davos. But I promise you there will not be a 1-minute episode here, unless anyone asks for it. The organization here, as I said in the morning, has great memories on me. I am what I am today because of my activities in this community. And I'm very proud of each and every one of you. I know you go through a lot of trouble and you sacrifice a lot just to strengthen the Turkish American community. I want you to know Turkish government is very proud of you. And we do our best to encourage your activities through our embassy, through our very able ambassador, Ambassador Tang. And we want you to continue doing what you're great at. Of course, as I mentioned in my Turkish remarks, the cooperation and solidarity among various Turkish American organizations is very critical for our common purposes. So we expect better dialogue, better communication, and hopefully better support with you. I also would like to take this opportunity to share my sympathy to our American friends for what happened in Boston. No other country can understand the pain and the frustration of terrorism than Turkey. We've been dealing with this problem since 1978. We have lost more than 30,000 lives. We have lost more than $350 billion, believe it or not. But hopefully we're in a process of getting rid of that problem. But one thing that experience has taught us, just like as terrorism does not discriminate among children or elderly or women, the fight against terrorism should not have any differences, should not have any favors either. We have to unite against this international disease, and we have to put an end to terrorism throughout the globe. Nobody is safe until everybody is safe. We are going through some very interesting times in Turkey, but since this is a leadership conference, I want to emphasize the importance of leadership in the Turkish American community. If I'm in an important position today, it's because I went through this process, because I attended all these leadership conferences, and I understood the importance of being active, being organized. So it's very important that these projects continue. That is why you have our best sympathy and support. As a great statesman, President Lincoln, said, you cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. So we have to accept our responsibilities for tomorrow by working on them today. And I think everyone in this room and every member of this community is a potential leader. We just have to make sure they are prepared for their future responsibilities. And these programs are very good. Leaders must inspire. They should not be afraid. They should not fear being respected or hated, but they should always act with their conscience and do the right thing. As President Kennedy said, leadership and learning are indispensable to one another. So we constantly have to increase our knowledge. Some of the student representatives asked me outside what I would recommend. And I said, prepare yourself for life, because it's very competitive out there. The more you know, the stronger you will be. Therefore, enjoy the times when you really have the capacity to learn, both the time and the digestion of the information. And I think leaders have to work hard. They have to sacrifice. Without sleepless nights, without really giving in from yourself, you don't really achieve much. But if you really work hard at it, if you believe in yourself, if you believe in your cause, everything is achievable. And everything starts with the first step. So I'm glad that we are united here and we have a common goal. And within 2 to 3 weeks, I think Turkish-American relations will promote to a higher next level. The visit of Prime Minister Erdogan is going to be a historical one. As I analyze it myself, it is going to be the visit. I've attended many visits with many presidents and prime ministers for the last 30 years of my involvement in this relationship. But I assure you, through my meetings for the last 2 days in the White House, at the State Department, at USTR, and soon I have to go to US Secretary of Commerce, I've seen that the United States government representatives are really excited. They're not only excited about hosting the Prime Minister of Turkey, they're very excited because they will be hosting one of the most influential leaders of our times. Prime Minister Erdogan represents Turkey's very symbolic nature. Turkey is the most eastern part of the West and most western part of the East. And Prime Minister Erdogan represents that in his own personal capacity. When he goes to Egypt, more than 20,000 young Egyptians gather at the airport just to greet him. When he attends a Friday prayer in a mosque in Libya, 30,000 people gather outside to listen to what he has to say. And as a devout believer, he can preach them about merits of secular democracy. Many Muslim leaders can go there. Many Western leaders can go and preach about secular democracy, but there are not too many who can do both. That's why Turkey is in a very unique position. Turkey has been a source of inspiration with our capacity to coexist culture of democracy and culture of Islam for more than 200 years. Turkey's achievement for the last 10 years in terms of economy, human rights, transparency, democracy, has been one of the most important foundations of what some people call the awakening or Arab Spring or democratization. It's not the only reason, but it's one of the main pillars of this greatest transformation in the region. Because when they look at Turkey, an ordinary Egyptian or Libyan or a Tunisian, they say, well, look at these Turks. They're very much like us. They live under the same sun, around the same geography, with similar topography, but yet they have a very similar culture, religion, values, way of living, but they have a government and an opposition. They have a free market economy. They have labor unions. They have supply and demand. They have much better schools, much better hospitals, much better roads. Why can we not have the same? And the fact that Turkey has been doing good for the last 10 years, without compromising from our values, has ignited a sense that they could do the same. Of course, with enhancement of technology, as we all listen together, how Twitter and Facebook are affecting our lives, the process of information distribution has been faster than ever. You all remember, and there are members of the State Department here, many people at the State Department a decade ago worked on a project called the Greater Middle East and North African Initiative, which was about bringing democracy to that geography, but it failed. It didn't go anywhere. However, when one computer scientist who had to be a street vendor in Tunisia because he couldn't find any other job, decided to burn himself and put that on live Facebook, it started a revolution called the Arab Spring, because it was internal. So, information, leadership, communication are very essential. And the Turkish-American community has a responsibility to have better dialogue and communication, not only among yourselves, but with the rest of the world. Because you're living in the most important capital of the free world. And the messages given here have direct influence on the rest of the globe. So you have a big responsibility, and I just wanted to remind that to you. Thank you for having me.